Howdy guys, it's Joe here, and today I want to talk to you guys about the video that you all wanted to see. Everybody seems to appreciate why I hate Hanzo. Now, I do feel like I have some good backstory in this, and I know some stuff about Hanzo because he was my quick play main for Season 1, 2, and 3. Only now, getting beaten out by McCree, I had a whole 12 hours on him, so you can obviously see how much I love to play quick play, but there you go with that, some pre-knowledge about him, so I should know my stuff. Now, about Hanzo, he's definitely the character that it's just the poster boy for people that everybody hates to play and everybody hates to play against, and I want to talk to you about why that kind of is. If you are a Hanzo main, if you're wondering this, or if you just want to get a little bit of sympathy from playing against Hanzo, and you're a little bit frustrated having him on your team and against you. Now, the major thing that I feel like, especially about Hanzo, that makes him so frustrating to play with and against, and first off, let's talk about against, is the factor that he can just instantly one-shot you from essentially halfway across the map. Just because. A lot of the times I've had it where I'm playing Soldier, playing McCree, I walk around a corner not really knowing what's going on. Hanzo's spamming around the corner, or just, I guess, waiting for me, shoots me, instantly dead. On the other side of the coin, I could just not walk around that corner. He maybe just doesn't happen to shoot there, and then I don't die, and that seems to be the majority of the time. As well with this, Hanzo's just getting random headshots as you're running around his Tracer on you, getting random headshots when you're in the backline as someone like Zenyatta or Mercy or even Ana, or just having to get a lot of headshots in a row as a tank. It's all pretty frustrating, mainly for the fact that unless you're like a godlike player, often it feels kind of luck-based. It's a huge projectile that he shoots out, but it kind of just depends if you're standing in the right place at the right time when Hanzo's shooting his arrow, and it feels really awkward to play against. A lot of the times it feels like there isn't much counterplay to the arrow itself, it just kind of happens, and if you just happen to peek, you lose. Well, I guess there's a lot of counterplay, that being if he doesn't happen to randomly hit you with it, you can, for the majority of the time, just beat him, outrange him, and dodge any future arrows. But it does feel really weird, and it is one of those just normal fires that's very frustrating to play against. Maybe not overpowered, but very frustrating. And I feel like it could have been overpowered if this was like a hit scan, you know, that sounds really broken. A huge amount of range, or if it shot a little bit faster, or if I guess it was even bigger. But it's not really, and that's where the second problem with Hanzo comes. He isn't the best character in the game, but he still is really kind of inconsistent. And as well with this, it's just kind of hard when you have one on your team for him to always do well. Of course, sometimes he can get amazing picks over and over and over again, but a lot of the times you're going to be playing with Hanzos that can't always get those picks. And a lot of the times it will be the same players. It's not different players that always, you know, do amazing or then do crap the next game. It can be the same players if you just aren't completely godlike as the character, which can be very frustrating to play with. One game you might go in with your Hanzo friend, he might just roast the enemies. The next game, enemies might just walk in a certain pattern that your arrows don't simply hit, or that they just go behind a tank the entire game. You can't really do way too much. Playing with the Hanzo on your team like this, often you're wondering to yourself, you know, he can get some nice picks, he's doing okay, but why doesn't he just switch to a slightly more consistent Widowmaker, who can get a little bit more picks, is a little bit more consistent, and even though she's not the best right now, can do a little bit more at times. Or at the same time, why not just switch to someone like Soldier, who can get a lot of picks still with his right click, double tap headshot, who is very consistent, and who can just overall do a lot of damage, and just a lot better in a lot of situations. It gives people kind of a hard problem of having Hanzo on your team. A lot of the times he doesn't feel like he will be the best pick for your ranked game. And it's just kind of hard, as it makes people really hate the character. They feel like when you pick Hanzo, you're just going to throw the game. And I've had some games where Hanzos do completely throw the game. On the other hand, I've had some games where they just completely carry. And it's overall kind of just a hard feeling where the character can be really, really broken at certain situations if they get lucky at certain times. But at the same time, a lot of the times, Hanzos really aren't doing way too much, so they give a huge bad stigma for everyone else, and just his character, just kind of by design, it's a little bit weird and a little bit, you know, not really luck-based, but, you know, it's a very situational and time-based that can create problems for really everybody, your team and the other team. Now, overall, I'm just going to say, in general, the word for his kit is frustrating and kind of inconsistent. You can see this overall with the majority of his kit. His ultimate can be very good at times. It can just melt through your team, take you all out, and just do a lot of damage. But at the same time, it can be very inconsistent. If they happen to have any space turret around, it's not going to do way too much. If you don't have something like a Zarya ult to combo, it's probably not going to do way too much. And overall, it's just kind of a hard ult in order to consistently use really, really well. As well with this, we do have his normal shot. Of course, I already talked about that. Pretty inconsistent thing. And his E, which can either just one-shot tanks, or it can do absolutely nothing. But either way, if you do one-shot tanks, it's extremely frustrating for the enemies, while if you happen to just not hit them because you just didn't hit them for some reason, it's very frustrating for the Hanzo player and for the Hanzo player's team, as he didn't get the kill. Overall, it just feels kind of frustrating, kind of inconsistent, and I feel like that's just kind of how his kit works. Now, I wouldn't say that that's honestly terrible character design, though, because I do like how he's super high risk, super high reward. He can do a lot. He does do a lot. But a lot of times in competitive, people just aren't really ready for that. Often, I'm not really ready for that. I would rather have a soldier, maybe even a McCree, who's not the best right now, simply because I feel like often they can do better on average. I'd rather have an average McCree, or an average soldier, than have a 50% chance of having a Hanzo that does really well, or a 50% chance of a Hanzo that does really, really bad. It's just kind of about consistency. That's really what a lot of rank is about. And Hanzo's kind of the master of inconsistency, carrying some games completely and throwing other games completely. At least that's what I've only experienced in my own games, and it's just something that I feel like is kind of based around the character, which can be really fun, especially in quick play, but sometimes in competitive, they can just rustle some jimmies. Anyways, that's all I'm going to say about Hanzo. Sorry if you wanted me to roast him a little bit more. I guess I could say I've had like 20 Hanzos that have completely lost me some games, which actually has happened. Me, myself, I've probably thrown at least 10 or 20 quick play games with this character. On my Smurf, I've probably thrown around 5. And Hanzo does throw some games, and on the other hand, Hanzo does carry some games really hard. And of course, getting one-shot by Hanzo, so annoying. There you go. There you go. If you're really salty about Hanzo, there are some bad things about him. But anyways, there you guys go. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Still really think Hanzo's a very cool character, but something that I do kind of hate from time to time. Anyways, that's all I'm going to say. Say your own stuff in the comment section down below, if you agree, if you disagree, and please tell me some stories, as I really like to hear what has happened to you guys with these characters. And as always, thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and as always, have a wonderful day.